What's up, Half Centenarians? We are back with a wonderful, power-packed, probably 17 minutes, right? With Dr. Lucille O'Neal, who is an author. She has 4 kids, one of which is Shaquille O'Neal. So guess what we have been doing? No, not playing basketball. No. We have been talking about life, about what resonates with our generation and how we are helping the next generation figure out what's the best path for them as they move forward. So I'm gonna move out of the way, let you get a chance to kind of listen to Lucille O'Neal tell what her life story has done for her. So in order for me to do that, I gotta walk like I have somewhere to go. All right, Half Centenarians, guess what? So I'm going to say this to you all right now. After you finish this, you're going to be like, Marley, all of that can't be true. And yes, it is. Before we even get started, because we are here in the building and we are talking about doing big things. When I started this journey, it was like I wanted to showcase Half Centenarians, people over 50 doing their thing. And I have someone here now that is not even aware that what she has titled her book is pretty much what I wanted to say. Walk like you have somewhere to go. This is Dr. Lucille O'Neal, y'all, and she is here. That girl is here to explain to us and lay a foundation for us about who she is and kind of introduce us to her world, and then we will continue our wonderful conversation.
All right. Well, thank you, Marla, for inviting me to come and sit with you today. I really appreciate it. Oh. And when I talk about who I am, I want to say that I'm just that girl. Mm-hmm. I'm real all natural. Mm-hmm. That's what I call myself. Not a whole lot of fluff and not a whole lot of fancy things going on. But I'm a mother. I have 4 adult children. My youngest daughter is deceased, but I still count her. I got 4 adult children. I have 15 grandchildren. And I have 2 great-grandchildren now. And I am an author, a speaker, and I'm just a wonderful person. That's what I say about myself. And when I look at myself in the mirror in the morning, I say, girl, you are a designer original.
Come on.
So that's who I am.
That's right.
I'm just Lucille. Every now and then, we have the titles. And I have a lot of them. But if you want to address me, Lucille is fine. I am Lucille O'Neal.
I love it. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for allowing us to let you sit down here and chat a little bit. So we want to make sure that we focus on who you are and what you bring to the table. So I wanted to talk to you about, we talked about who you are. Give us a little bit of inspiration around where your story comes from, because this is what you said. This is not a book. This is your what?
It's my testimony.
Right.
I talk about 40 years of my life. Mm-hmm. And my life, it parallels a lot of young people, even people my age now. You call me half centenarian?
Half centenarian, yes.
I'm proud to say 67 years old now. And my testimony, when I shared it with the world, is now almost 12 years old. Yeah. It came out, it was published in 2010. And now people are still wanting to know about my story. But what I love to share is the fact that I was on a journey. And the title of the book came from a woman pastor.
Okay.
Many years ago. And I was that girl that had an attitude. I was so tall, taller than all the boys, taller than all the girls. Didn't want to be, so I had an attitude. I didn't even know why I had the attitude. But I used to get called. Well, I used to get called to do a lot of things that I didn't want to do. Okay. So one day the pastor, her name was Iola Hartsfield, she looked at me and she said, Lucille, you come here and you walk like you have somewhere to go.
I love it.
That stayed with me for so many years. So when I sat down with Allison Samuels and we began to put my story together, that came out of the story. Those words stuck with me for a whole lot of years. But what it says to me and what it says to others, that we need to be walking with purpose in our life, with our heads up, especially women. And I was guilty of walking around with my head down, hunched over, but I had to learn how to walk in my beauty.
That's right.
And hold my head up.
Yes.
And get going, because I know God had a pathway for me, a journey. And the journey we're in right now, we call it life.
That's it.
We don't need to waste any time. Not at all. So that was an attention getter. Walk like you have somewhere to go.
I could see the attitude. So I wanted to, because there's parts in this book, and you said it resonates with young girls today.
Yes.
We were sitting here talking before we even got started. It has resonated with me so much. And I'm sure a lot of women that were in my age group, we were back in our high school years, just doing things that, we probably should have been listening to other people a little bit more, our parents, our grandparents, and all that kind of stuff. So when you think about having your child early and going through school and doing feisty things, such as in the book, and you guys are going to have to check it out, she stabs her math teacher. Actually, it was to protect someone, but she had to go through those kinds of things and really define her anger and channel it in different ways. So tell us a little bit about, you wrote the book, you have this feistiness about you still do, but you use it now for a different path. So what would be your purpose around Dr. Lucille O'Neal and what you're doing today?
When I was 12 years old, I told God, I want to be a motivational speaker.
Okay.
And I learned that the words that we speak to each other, that they have power. I learned that a long time ago.
Right.
Living in the city of Newark, New Jersey, there was civil unrest. We lived with so many cultures of people, but we had to learn how to tune out the negative and hold on to the positive. And even at home, we had grandparents and we had our parents, but sometimes they didn't know how to show love. They didn't even know how to communicate love.
Yeah.
So we learned the opposite a whole lot of times, but I told God, I said, I want to be able to just say something that's going to help somebody. I want to be able to have the words come out of my mouth that are really going to encourage somebody and empower somebody. So I held on to that dream for so long. So today, I am your motivational speaker.
You are. You definitely are. And you're singing my tune because this book speaks to me. It definitely resonates with me. And I know that there's so many other women I don't have to say women, there's people who have been in some of these situations.
Well, that's the reason I don't call it a book today. It is my testimony. I lived what you're reading. And so this is the story that I share, but I always tell anyone that I talk to, my then is definitely not my
Come
now.
on, that's right.
So I talk about where I was 40 years ago and how I got to be where I am today.
Gotcha.
I learned so much along the way, and I believe in what I've learned. I want to be able to teach that to you or teach it to anyone. So I call myself a teacher. I call myself a mentor because that is who I am as well. And we have the titles that go along with that, but we can have the title and not know what's going on, but I'm living my truth.
Right.
And I'm sharing my truth with the rest of the world.
All right, so when you talk about your purpose and sharing your truth, what kinds of truths do you share and impart to young people?
We have a label now for young people with attitudes, and they have an attitude for one reason or another, but when people have really come down on you with their words, you get into a place, they call that low self-esteem. But I learned in my journey, you have to start encouraging yourself. You have to want to do something for yourself. You have to learn how to love yourself.
Right.
I learned so much about love in my journey, and this is what I share. Well, you don't have to be that way. You can come up out of that if you do this. You can come up out of that if you really concentrate on trying to be a better person yourself. So it's just a matter of the journey. You can't skip the steps that that you have to go through. You have to go step at a time, one step at a time. I was in a Hallmark store one day and I saw a picture frame, and the words that Maya Angelou spoke were written on this picture frame. It said, it may take years to realize a dream, but dreaming itself is an elevating experience.
I love that.
For so many years I wanted to go to college, but started having children, life happened, got married. When I saw that frame after, I think it may have been almost 30 years ago, I picked it up and it encouraged me more. So every time I have the words that well up inside of me, I want them to come out to encourage someone else more.
Right.
Just more.
So as you look back over your time, your life that you've been working and growing to get to this place where you are now, so my question then would be, how are you now, Dr. O'Neal, having to go to college and not only go to college, excel? How are you living your best life?
It's a long story about that. First, let me tell you how I got to college.
Come on.
All my children had grown and left home. And for many years, I kept saying, I want to go to college. We teach our children about college, and we teach them that education is so important and you got to gain additional knowledge. So all the while I was teaching, I kept saying, you teaching, but you don't have any of that.
Right.
So my oldest son, with that good job that he was blessed with to be professional basketball player, he said, Mommy, if you want to go, I got you.
Cool.
And he paid for my college education, all of it. He paid for it. And I told him, no, he told me, he said, as long as you keep your grades up, I'll continue to pay your tuition.
I'm going to go back to something like that in that book too, because that's resurfacing how you had to be told that because you had the ability to, but you allowed yourself not to do it for whatever reason. And so your son said,
I put me on the back burner because I wanted to be a mother and I wanted to stay home and I wanted to be married and I wanted to do all those things. But after my children didn't need me as much, God said, okay, it's your time.
It's your turn. So your son, I'm sorry to interrupt that, but your son says, okay, Mommy, I'm going to put you in school. I'm going to let you go and do your thing now, but you got to make good grades. And so tell us a little bit about
But what it showed me and it told me is the dreams that we have inside. And this is what I tell young people. Don't ever let them go. It took me 30 years to get to college.
That's good.
From the time that he was born, it took me 30 years to get back to college. But when I began to go, I never stopped. So everything...
You went straight through.
I went straight through.
Yeah.
But what happened for me was the things that I was learning along the way. Mentorship. Everything I learned, I shared. Everything I learned, I shared. And mentorship is a job for some people, but it's not a job for me.
Right.
It is just a way of life. I'm so blessed that I don't have to have that as a regular job to sustain me.
Right.
So it's just a privilege and an honor for me to be able to help somebody. My oldest daughter went to FAMU. My youngest daughter went to FAMU. Shaquille went to LSU. My youngest son Jamal went to LSU.
Oh, okay.
I went to Bethune-Cookman, the great Bethune-Cookman University.
Here we go, shouting out HBCUs.
And the University of Phoenix is where my degrees come from.
Okay.
But I'm just so proud that...
You should be.
I'm really proud because I didn't have to pay anybody.
That's a blessing.
I went to school like a regular student.
Yeah.
And I studied hard and I learned and I earned my degrees and my grades. And I'm just feeling so good about that. So when we get to talking about the journey, that is part of my journey that really put me in a position. And what I say is book sense with the common sense that we have. It just makes perfect sense.
Wait, now. Say that one more time. I want to get that.
Book sense with the common sense that we have makes perfect sense.
I love it. Now that's a gem. Ebony. That's a gem.
Because the reason that makes sense to me is because we want to have the education, but do we have the simple common sense that goes along with learning how to maintain and use what we've learned and deal with the real world? And
not always.
We don't want to miss anything along the way. And we're going to get it. We're going to get it all, and we got to get it right.
We do. Especially
if you're going to be teaching somebody.
Right.
You better get it right. We used to say, too, you better be able to walk it like you
talk it, right? You better listen. I love that though. Right? Like you have to put all of that together, and that's a great combination. That makes perfect sense to me. What you just said.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's why I say all natural. I can't afford to put on any airs for anybody. But I can tell my whole story. It's not all of it is not in the pages.
It's still being read
of the memoir. But life is going on right now, and I'm in a good place. I've only been in the Atlanta area for a year. We traveled in the military for 20 years and learned so much along the way. My children did too. We don't live prejudice.
Right.
We don't live black and white. We live.
Yeah.
We live.
And so that's how you living out your best life right now.
Right now.
Yeah.
I'm closer to the other end of the dash than I am to the place where I was in 1954.
But you're not resting, and you're still doing great things.
Every day is a great day,
right.
And I wake up with a grateful heart and say, God, what you want me to do today?
So then I would ask you as one of my final questions to you, what would you tell your 25-year-old self?
I would tell my 25-year-old self to not go ahead of the process.
Yes.
Slow down and take it slow. slow down and take it slow. We're in such a hurry to be grown up, and we don't even realize the issues that come with being so grown. We don't even know.
Or they don't.
And we're trying to get ahead of ourselves. So that would be the main message.
Slow down. With all of those wonderful nuggets of wisdom and everything that you share, I want you guys to kind of take heed of the gems that she's dropping. And I want to just take a minute and give you two options. I want to see if we can find out just a little bit more about you, Dr. O'Neal. All right, so out of these two, which would you choose? Email or text?
Text.
Flowers or gift card?
Flowers.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Breakfast or lunch?
Lunch.
Blues or jazz?
Jazz.
Married or single?
I am. Over 60. Sexy.
All right.
Single. And saved.
I'm a catch.
Single.
Dog or cat?
Dog.
Read or write?
Right.
Netflix or Lifetime?
Lifetime.
Outside or inside?
Outside.
And then lastly, early riser or night owl?
Early riser.
I love it. That's what I'm saying. We got to know all of that about Dr. O'Neal, and she has shared with us so many great nuggets of wisdom. You guys, listen. This thing might be from 2010, but it's still a jewel. It is still relevant to my life. Get it. Check it out. I want you to reach out to her. We're going to put her contact information on and just let her know how you feel about if you are walking like you have somewhere to go. Do you resonate with parts of this book? Because I know I did. When we talk about growing and living, this is so important for us to kind of share with one another what they're doing to help benefit your life. So don't forget, Thursdays we drop a new episode. Follow us, like, comment, share. Let Dr. O'Neal how you feel about what she's saying. We know that we have LSU in our blood. Both he and I went to LSU together. So, we got a lot of likenesses going on here.
It was still a great experience.
It was still a great experience. Yes,
and we still go down to Baton Rouge.
Baton Rouge. SU on one side, LSU on the other, you guys. All right, I got Tigers in my blood. But anyway, thank you guys so much for checking us out. And thank you, Dr. O'Neal, for sharing your wisdom with us.
Yes. Thank you.
You are welcome. We will see you guys soon. Hi, Half Centenarians. We are in the A, and we are coming in hot. We are so excited to have you on this journey with us. I have a question for you. Have you subscribed? Have you liked? Have you shared? Have you sent me 3 names of individuals who have impacted your life? Join us on this journey, you guys, who can't continue to live in silos. I'm so excited to be able to share these wonderful people with you. Who knows? It could be you. Be safe, be careful, and you know what? We will see you soon.